It's time for Luke Howard Live at Lunchtime. Thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful round of applause. Thank you. Hello everybody, hello, good afternoon, hello, welcome to Britain's brightest, best radio show. It's Friday, woo! So we've got a great show to kickstart your day, to get you all ready for the weekend. But don't worry, because we are on at the weekend, because we're on Saturday mornings between 10 and 10:45. So there's nothing really different, really, between today's show and tomorrow's show. But anyway, welcome to the show. It is the 15th of January. Lovely to have your company today. It really, really is. Lovely to hear from you as well if you'd like to get in touch with the show. Text the word, no, we're not doing that, we're doing emails. It's GaryJHoward68@hotmail.com, or it's 345457 at student.hrc.ac.uk, or you can find me on Instagram. It's the Luke Howard fan page, or you can do the hashtags, hashtag Luke Howard, hashtag Luke Howard Live, or hashtag listen to Luke Howard Live, or hashtag Luke Howard Live at lunchtime. Great ways to get in touch with Britain's best radio show today. So, hello, good morning, hope you're all well. Lots to look forward to on the show today. We're going to be talking different news, actually, because I thought to myself, I'm fed up with talking about COVID and all that. So I thought to myself, from now on, we're not going to talk about it on this show anymore, because I thought to myself, I'm not having this, because this show is a show for everybody. You know, it's different things. It's even if anyone wants to escape it all and come here. So I've finally decided that there's going to be no more COVID talking on this very show. We're not going to talk about it anymore because it does get on my nerves. So we're going to forget about it today and from now onwards. And then we may talk about it one day a week. But I find this show as a place for relaxation and a place of calm, which is why from now on I'm going to change it into being all nice and calm and with all different classical music. So we're going to do it nicely and calmly, So, so whatever you're doing today, make yourselves a cuppa, sit back and relax. We've even got the escape zone where I play you two lovely, calm, classical music songs, which are absolutely a brilliant idea, especially at these times. We are going to start bringing the classical music back, actually, onto this very show. We're going to bring it back on the show, woo! So, yeah, because we'd like to do a mix of classical and a mix of normal as well. So we are going to start doing that from now on. We will definitely start doing it from now, because I just think to myself, it's a great thing to do and it calms everyone down. So I think it's a very nice thing to do. Right, okay. Let's talk about some entertainment news then today, shall we? Because on the 15th of January 2001, which is, would you believe, 20 years ago this very day, two American entrepreneurs, Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger, they launched an online entrepreneurpedia. It was called Wikipedia, which launched in 2001, but it dispited the much criticism early on about inclusiveness, which has gone on to be hugely successful, which is amazing, really. It is the 15th most popular destination on the web, is available in more than 300 different languages, and is managed by the community of volunteer editors. At least, they said, I think that is accurate, that I found all those facts online. An entrepreneur's own country is Wikipedia, of course. Wikipedia in numbers has been going 20 years this very day. 56 million articles, 3 billion edits, 1.7 billion unique visitors every month, and 316 different languages. Now, that is absolutely incredible, if you ask me. That is amazing. So, that is incredible, and I'm glad we spoke about this on the show today. It is where everyone from students to politicians to, yes, journalism, they turn for a quick briefing on any subject, although even Wikipedia says it should not be used as a primary source. But there are 5 Wikipedia articles that you can find online. You have to look on Google for that. Now, George W. Bush, who I know very well, not personally, but I do know who he is. He has integrated as the 43rd President of the United States, would you believe? Oh my God, I never actually knew that. 5 days after the launch of Wikipedia. Its entry, though, went on to provide a functional challenge to its core principle opinions. Now, anyone who can edit it does explain. David Garrard, who has been a volunteer editor since the early years. But I hope that people do understand that Wikipedia is just a bunch of well-meaning amateurs doing their best to make something nice. But not everyone does want to play nice. The vicious edit war about the Bush entry, where disputed lines about controversies such as the Gulf War were entered and removed time again, and was one factor which saw a change in the very rules. But some entries were protected, meaning that there were limits on editing, particularly from new or anonymous users. Now, Jimmy said he remembers that one IDICAT administrator was so unhappy about this that he said he would unlock the Bush page and look after it. But after 8 hours of dealing with nonsense, he said, I'm locking it, and that's fine. It was on the 5th of January, my sister's birthday, last year, funny enough. That's my sister's birthday, 5th of January, funny enough. But the Wikipedia editor, who lists their country as China and current location as Cambridge, created a page with the title 2019-2020 China Preliminary Outbreak. Well, we never knew that, did we? I never actually knew that. So they actually knew that this sort of thing was going to be coming. We all knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. We knew it was coming. But a little change once the virus has become known as COVID-19. But over the last year, hundreds of editors, they have contributed to what now amounts to a short book about every aspect of this very pandemic. The internet has been awash into a disformation about the virus, but David says that Wikipedia's policy on repeatedly sources for medical information does keeps up the quality. The standard is studies and single papers aren't usually acceptable. He also explained that this does not stop battles out between editors. Now, one comment in the edit history reads that this is irritation. Is it really zero direct evidence? And has it really happened? Has it therefore, should it not be included there? Is it, or should it be? But Jimmy did say that Wiki, the Project Medicine, a community of doctors and scientists, they all formed in the early days of the Encyclopedia and has helped keep the COVID page pretty accurate. The article has also had quite a light form of edit protection since May last year, would you believe? Yes, May last year. And at the meeting was that you have to have been an editor of 4 days and have done 10 edits elsewhere before you are allowed to tinker with it. Now, David said that in usual as to restrictions imposed for so long. He said we really don't like shocking even half-looking articles long term, but we will if it's something serious, he said. The page about an American mathematician, whose work was fundamental to development on GPS navigation system, is one of more than 1,000 created by Dr. Jez Wade, a physicist at the Imperial College London. Wikipedia, though, has long had problems with diversity, both in the subjects, and it does include and its editors who have been primarily male and white. Jess has been part of a moment of change that in the case of focusing on making women scientists more prominent. But they've also been editing Wikipedia for 3 years, and they have written biographies of women, but people of colour every single day. And the Glades West page was among on their first, and since it appeared, the mathematician has been inducted into the US Air Force Hall of Fame. Now, whenever people do talk about the history of GPS, we all see people on social media saying that what about Gladys West? But she did say that there still is plenty of work to do. A browser plug in which told you about the gender balance on Wikipedia page showed that just 1.6% of the prominence of the entry of history of physics was what it is. Donna Stockland, the recent Nobel lecturer of Jocelyn Bell Blundell, who won the Breakthrough Prize for Science of all these phenomenal women physicists, are left of that story. Now, for many years, George W. Bush page, he was the one of the most edits, but now it has been overtaken by the very one. The list of the WWE professional wrestlers has had more than 53,000 edits over the very years. But although the sport athletes is fair and the share of college entry it seems its number one spot is less about figures between editors and the passion of its fans. They also come here to log every single wrestler who has ever climbed into the ring, along with their managers and every other person to connect to WWE. Wikipedia may be the place that you go to try to puzzle out a quantum and computing and find out how many US presidents have been impeached, but all human life is always here. But at least until an editor decides on entry, it's just too trivial for inclusion and suggests it should be deleted. And that is, well, what really happened to the page. But Jimmy has notified his favourite. It's about the theory of humour, but that some words are just funnier than others. And he also explained for a while, the page was nominated for deletion. And it also became a place where people just added nonsense words or words they thought sounded funny with no references. But it was saved and did become quite scholarly entry, but with examples of academic research on what made the word funny. But it so didn't survive, he said, because the fan didn't like it. Not according to David. He described Wikipedia as both totally authentic with nobody in charge and a complex quality he had to learn to navigate. So far, Anchor Brushley did also seem to be working as well. Okay, we'll leave that story then. One more story then to complete on today's show, and it's the EU, which blames UK, apparently it's to do with over and visa-free touring for musicians. I never actually knew this, because the EU has insisted if the UK's government choice is the visa-free touring for musicians on the continent following an eclipse of performance. Now, officials in Brussels have told the BBC in the UK they all refused a plan that would have let musicians tour without visas. But the response came after Downing Street confirmed that its own ambitious proposals had been rejected by the EU. The EU's Brexit regulator Michael Berner said the result was one of the investigate consequences of Brexit. They very much regretted that the British didn't have more ambition for people's mobility. Mr Barnett told reports yesterday that from March last year, we all made fairly ambitious proposals in terms of mobility, including for specific categories such as journalists, performers, musicians and others. He went on, but you need to be two to make a deal. On the two sides to neglect of explosion, the new restrictions for musicians with performers and crews saying livelihoods could be at risk. But since Brexit, British musicians and crews are no longer guaranteed visa-free travel, and they may extra work permits to play a certain European country. But the 180-day period, but tours in Germany and Spain, for instance, will now require extra visas for paid work, while those in France and Netherlands will not be able to do that at all. Now, the popular European touring routes could now see them take an extra cost and paperwork, according to the Association for British Orchestras. Truck drivers carrying stage equipment must now return to the UK after visiting into EU member states. A petition signed by the more than 250,000 people, including Laura Matching, Biffin Cleary and Joey Lipper, is calling on the government to neglect a free culture work permit. They would also allow bands, musicians, artists, TV and sports celebrities that tour the UK to perform shows and events and card expressions for touring equipment. Now, on Thursday, musicians, Union General Security Horsey Turnbridge demanded greater support from the Prime Minister Boris Johnson for a UK artist hoping to tour in Europe, again, once it's safe to do so. There is agreement for the EU artists arriving into the UK would be in the interest of the UK and EU. The industry has been incredibly badly hit by the COVID-19 crisis, and if our members are also restricted by additional costs and red tape on touring once things start to go back to normal, we will see a real downturn in that what is unique British success. And Boris Johnson vowed on Wednesday during the Prime Minister's questions to meet MPs to discuss the matter. I know our friends in the EU will be waiting to go further to improve things on not just the musicians but business travellers of all kinds. There is mutual benefit, he said. I actually saw that briefing. I watched it actually. An EU spokesperson told the BBC the UK has chosen to no longer allow the free movement of the EU citizens in the UK. It's also refused to include a chapter on mobility in the agreement. These choices identified them mean that travel between the EU and the UK, including for business purposes, will no longer be as easy as it was while the UK was a member state. He added that the UK refused to include a commitment via free sport stays